Intelligent Ramblings, with your host, Bill Lofton, co-hosted by Gary Glenn and William Howington, with help from John Call.
Well, here we are. Welcome
We're
to
live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube. Okay, that's a good thing. We have been trying to switch platforms, leaving StreamYard, the platform we currently use, and going to EVMux because the bells and whistles on it are better, and it is not, well, the problem with StreamYard is the son of a bitch is doubled the price and just did it overnight, and it wasn't like any warnings or anything like that. It was absolutely like, I looked at my bill and it was like doubled, you know. So it's not that it's that expensive. It's just a simple fact that, what the hell? Do you think we're that desperate? Well, we weren't. So we went to EVMux, and that's what the deal is. Well, the problem is with EVMux is those three guys can be there talking away and having a good time. Nobody can see me or hear me. This is 2 times in a row this happened, so we'll discuss it with ourselves. Maybe Gary can sell a leg or something, and we can afford to stay with StreamYard. We don't like you, StreamYard, but we're probably gonna stay with you, and we're gonna talk shit about you every week. I'm gonna make a point of saying something rude about the way StreamYard fucked us, because that's what they did. Excuse my French, kinda, not really. Okay. Anyway.
Pardon les François.
That too. So how's everybody doing this week?
Good.
Awesome. Snow day.
Yeah, just saw my grandson play basketball.
We just got a dusting.
They lost.
That was pretty much it. Well, listen, guys, we're going to change the format a little bit on the show tonight. And we're going to discuss tonight what President Trump has managed to do in 3 days. This dude had a notebook of stuff that he wanted to change immediately. And he has, and we're going to bring up the topics and briefly discuss it and then go on to the next topic. Why don't we start off with what's going on down at the border? He is designating an invasion across the southern border of the United States, a move that triggers certain executive branch powers. So Trump says his cabinet shall take appropriate action to repel, repatriate, and remove any alien engaged in the invasion. What do you think, guys?
I think it's a good move.
I heard. Do what, William? Say it all again, because I didn't understand what.
It's a good move.
Why do you think it's a good move?
Well, we don't need all these people coming into the United States. We don't know who they are, if they're criminals or drug dealers or safe traffickers or whatever.
John?
Well, I think
it's probably going to be. Go ahead, John.
Okay, sorry. It is funny. The one thing that comes to mind is 3 months before the election, maybe more than that, maybe like 4 or 5 months before the election, the Senate had in its august chamber an immigration bill that was the most significant immigration policy that we've had since, I'll say at least the 60s and maybe the 70s. And they decided not to pass that bill into law because then presidential hopeful Donald J. Trump didn't want him to. He wanted to make it a campaign issue, and then he wanted to have this little theater of uh, declaring martial law effectively and closing the borders, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. It's easy to sign an executive order. It makes for good headlines. I agree that the border, as part of a larger, effective immigration policy, needs to be dealt with. But good luck. I really want to see you guys implement all the stuff you say you're going to implement. Starting with the we've been invaded, and we have to remove and repatriate all the illegal immigrants. I think there are plenty of places for it to fail along the way, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, at least he's trying.
Well,
Well, it's not like no one else wasn't trying. It makes for good campaign images, and you can persuade people to vote for you by saying, we're being overrun at the border, and they're terrible and they're taking over the country. You can say all kinds of crap to get yourself elected. And that's exactly what he did. So we're now in the find out portion of the program.
Well, I'll put my 2 cents in, which I think it's always economics. It's always about the money. When people say it's not about the money, reach for your wallet. 9 times out of 10, it's about the money. Let's see what all these people are going to say when the price of fruit goes up, price of construction goes up, price of chicken goes up, price of carpet bills goes up, because you're going to have to raise the wages to attract people other than the people who are willing to work for the wages right now. Why do you think people come to this country? They come to make money, to make a better life for them, and to send money back. Okay? If American manufacturers, the poultry people, the farm workers, the carpet mills, all of the construction folks, if they weren't offering jobs to people, they would not come. Period. So quit doing that. Find all these companies that are going to, I can go to any one of these chicken plants here in Gainesville. And if you say you're going to conduct a raid, you'll have half of the plant staying home that day because they don't want to be caught. Because they're here because people have given them a job. So just shut the crap up about why they're here. Where they're here because Americans that were in positions of power and positions of giving people jobs in business, the people who have the money were giving them jobs. If you don't want to give them jobs, that's another thing. Okay, if I got to go out now instead of paying somebody, I don't know, let's say $15 an hour. I don't know what they make in the poultry plants. If I have to double that all of a sudden, there's people out there of whatever race or ethnicity, they're going to work for $30 an hour. But if I have to pay that, guess who gets that cost passed on to them? You and me.
That would be us when we go to the grocery store.
Absolutely.
Well, Gary,
we go to try to buy a home.
I actually agree with you in some aspects, but the problem I got with the border right now is it's a mass coming in. It's not select individuals. If you get somebody come in there, what they need to do for me is to figure out a way to vet these people. Figure out, okay, you're coming in, where are you going, what are you doing, how are you going to do that, where are you going to live, how are you going to get around, do you have money, stuff like that. Rather than just going, okay, there's 20, you get to come in today. What they're doing that, 1,000 a day. Okay, this 1,000 gets to come on in. Y'all come on in here and do whatever you want. Rape, pillage, whatever you want to do. We don't give a shit. Just come on in here and we'll take about 100 of you 1,000 and put you in a chicken plant. But the problem is, out of that 1,000, you're going to have 15 or 20 of them that are just absolutely the scourge of society. and they're coming in and they're raping and pillaging. And another
Well,
thing I got a problem with, I have a problem with them sending money home. Okay, the problem is they're sending money home, but they're not paying taxes. They're getting paid by cash. They're not paying taxes. And you're not paying taxes.
What you do is you put an excise on every dollar that's sent out of this country.
That would work for me.
Tax.
And maybe put
I don't care if it goes Mexico, Guatemala, or Paris, France. If it gets sent out of this country, in some kind of shape, form, or fashion, there needs to be some kind of a tax put on that.
What about slap an ankle bracelet on every person that comes across that border? And that way we keep up with them, check in on them, find out if they're the ones that just went out and robbed and murdered people, or if they're the ones that went to work 5 days this week.
I want to jump in here and correct a couple things that I heard just by pointing out a few actual facts. The numbers of people that are coming across the border don't really change a whole lot over the span of a year or 2 years or 5 years. The numbers that are coming across the border now aren't a lot different than they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And those that do come over, illegal with papers or not, commit crimes at a lower rate than U.S. citizens do. So do they commit crimes? Yes, they do. But they're actually more peaceful when they're here than you and me, American citizens.
Well, that makes sense.
The other thing is, one last thing. Yes, some of them do send home cash. Most of them have to, in order to be hired at a chicken plant or as a carpenter for a construction company, have to come up with some kind of employment ID, and they are taxed. They pay all the payroll taxes that we do. And you can say, well, how do you know this, John? Well, I was in residential construction back in the boom years, and I saw many supposed, new people from Mexico, let's say, come in, get hired. The first thing they did was take their employment ID, and they got a paycheck just like everybody else, and all that withholding came out. So they are, for the most part, paying taxes, contributing to Social Security, which some of them will never get because they won't ever get legal. And so I just wanted to put that out there as a few more facts to have in mind.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that. My point, though, my initial point is, why are they coming, period?
To work, just like you said.
Yes, they're coming to make a better life than
They
some
think this
crap
is the
hole
land of-
country that they're coming from.
They think this is the land of milk and honey. They think this is the land of milk and honey. That they can just come in here.
Jobs.
You're giving them jobs, but you're also giving them American jobs.
Yeah, well, but the American people are not doing those jobs.
Yeah.
They were doing them 20 years ago.
They're not now.
Well, they
Look
were
at-
because,
look at
because they
Fieldale
were,
20
they
years
could make
ago.
a living wage.
Look at
They were
Fieldale
making a
20
living
years
wage
ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago,
But now they can't make a living on that.
The Latino population 20 years ago at Fieldale was 3%. Now it's 100% or 90.
Well,
20
let's
years.
go back. Let's go back in time.
Because I worked at Fieldale back in the day, and we didn't have any Latinos working there. None.
Who was there before the Latinos were there? Do you remember, Bill? Because I do. There was a huge Vietnamese population working in the poultry mills in Gainesville that preceded the Hispanic population. So for 40 years,
I'm talking about
immigrants have been doing
when I
that
worked there.
work.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, they have.
I was working there. I worked at Fieldale. I worked at what's the plant up in North Jackson?
I don't
Wayne
know.
Poultry. I
What were
worked
you
at
making
Wayne
an hour,
Poultry.
Bill?
I was making like $5 an hour at the most.
There you go. There you
$5
go.
an hour.
Well, my brother, and my sister-in-law used to work at McKellar, making hot dogs and stuff there when McKellar was in Talmo. And finally that went out of business. I think they still have some hot dogs or something like that. My point is that the wages have not kept pace with what native or generations of Americans could make doing something else. And they were not willing to work for that wage anymore.
But
so
I don't understand that.
society, like nature, abhors a vacuum.
But I don't understand that, and the fact that there's so many people out of work today, and 20 years ago, or 25, 30 years ago, it was when I worked. So I was young.
You're gonna have to
I was
make
like
it
22,
30
23 years. It's like 35 years ago. How about that? It was 85% white, 5% Latino, 5% Asian. And that was it. Why in 40 years ago were they willing to do that work and they're not willing to do it now?
Well, I think Gary was saying that in real terms, wages have not kept up with the cost of living. And so people that had an opportunity moved on to do other work.
That's in just about everything.
True.
It's not just the chicken plants. The wages haven't kept up with anything.
True.
I mean, you wonder why so many kids are living at home with their parents now, and they're in their mid-20s, which is, there's a astounding percentage. I don't know exactly what it is, but I knew at one time. But there's an astounding amount of kids that are still living at home because a damn apartment costs $1,200 a month for a flat in the worst place in town.
100% agree with you.
You know, it's not just the chicken plants. It's everywhere.
No, it's not. But it is. But most of the people that live in America live in single family homes or apartments. Latino people come in, they'll put 12 people in a house. And they take it on what the chicken plants are willing to play.
Yeah, they make it.
That's right. And
so now,
work for that
now
money.
you can't find a decent apartment because you got 12 Latinos living next door to you. But that one American is not able to get an apartment because they can't afford it. Because Latinos have all been off living in all the apartments in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment. You're right, 12 people living there. I mean, it's just, to me, I just don't like or agree with the adage of if the Americans won't do those jobs. I think they would. And do I think it's a reasonable wage? No, not at all. I don't think at all. But I disagree.
They're not doing those jobs.
And I think we ought to lock down the damn border. I think we ought to slap a damn wall up and lock it down. And let them come in, but let them come in 10 at a time, slap an ankle bracelet on them, and they got to keep it on there for a year. But also at the same time, make it easier to become a citizen of this country. Of the past million that came into our country, how many of them are citizens now? How many of them made any effort to be a citizen now? Although
I think you've got.
Although the citizenship is hard. It's hard. It takes a long time. And they need to simplify that, make them U.S. citizens, make them pay taxes, just like we do. I go out and take a picture. It's a quarter out of my pocket. I mean, immediately, a quarter of whatever I'm paid, just like that. You know, would I work in a chicken house? Absolutely. If my family needed food and I couldn't find a job anywhere else, I'd go work at a chicken plant. I've done it twice.
Yeah, but
You know,
that's you. But you're not typical.
yeah, I just
People,
think
the society has evolved toward more white collar and technical things now,
well, I think they're just
and they make
flooding.
they make
they're
more
flooding.
money doing that than they would have worked in a chicken plant. They're not willing to work for that money.
Yeah, I think they're flooding the market, and that's the basic problem to me. Is they're flooding the markets, and there's no room for the poor white American now. That we're getting squeezed on both ends. We're getting squeezed by the rich
Well,
people because they've taxed us to death, and the wages aren't kept up in any form of any place. Are our wages kept up?
Well, I agree with that, Bill. Wages have not kept up. They're relatively flat over the last 40 years if you look at real wages. But right now, at this particular point, the labor market in this economy is doing well. And it has done well for a couple of years. Ever since we broke out of the pandemic, we've rehired all those people that lost jobs during the pandemic and then some, to the extent that the unemployment rate is now about 4%, which if you talk to the economists that wrote the textbooks for Econ 101, they'll tell you that's the same level as structural unemployment. There's effectively no unemployment out there. If you want a job, you can go out and find one.
I agree.
So the argument
if you
that,
want to work, you can work.
which to me weakens the argument that illegal immigrants are coming in and taking jobs that would otherwise go to American citizens, because they're not. All of the American citizens that want to be employed are employed. They're just not working at the chicken plants anymore.
No, because they find something that's easier to do that they can make as much or more money. And they are
I
not.
mean, they're
the people that are coming
refining
across
their skills
the
and
border. The people that are coming across the border are very skilled at doing these type of repetitive jobs: carpet, fruit picking, working in the chicken plants, working in construction. These are the kinds of things they're really good at. So I'm agreeing with Bill, though. We need to make the path to citizenship somewhat easier by incentivizing the levels at which you can become fully citizens. You know, you have a car that comes in, allows you to be in this country, work. You pay taxes. You pay into Social Security. You pay into all those things that everybody has, but you do not have the rights of a full citizen. You cannot vote unless you're a citizen. All these things. But as you make your progress toward becoming a full citizen, then you can get more stuff. But the thing about consequences and incentives not working is crap. It's just crap. If you make it good enough or bad enough, things either get done or not get done. If you have any intelligence at all, and there's not something mentally wrong with you. I mean, my daddy gave me a whooping. I decided, you know what? I didn't want to do that again, because I was a reasonably smart little boy. And when he gave me a reward for something, I decided I did want to do that.
I think that the idea of opening the borders wide open is wrong. I think that absolutely shutting them down is wrong. I think that the idiots up in Washington need to come to a consensus of somehow placating everybody. And it seems so simple to me that you can say, okay, we'll let you in, but you've got to do this in this order. You got to have a job before you get here. You make arrangements, make a website where all these chicken plants and such as that, or whatever, can say, okay, we need labor, we need help. You apply for that job or get accepted for that job before you come in the country. It just kills me the way the plants have been taken over by Latinos. And it's like, when's the last time you went to a 7-Eleven and there was a tall, just a normal white guy, or a normal black guy, or a normal, even Latino? No. You go in there and you walk into Saudi Arabia. What the hell's that?
Indians,
Pakistanis,
most of them are,
Saudi Arabians.
Most of them are Indian. Yeah, that's their niche. That's what they found.
Yeah.
And all of them. And they've taken over our stores. And for the most part, a lot of them are rude as hell. There's no customer service at all. I mean, and they'll be talking on the phone we got a liquor store up here in Toccoa. Guy's always talking on his phone in some language that I don't have a clue. And he looks down, he punches in the cash register and says, thank you. Blah, 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 and he starts talking that shit again. Now, I mean, that just bothers me. I want some customer damn service.
Well, that's an oxymoron now. And hey, it doesn't, let me give you a clue, fellas. It doesn't just stop at our borders. When's the last time you dealt with a multinational corporation that you talked to somebody within the borders of the United States? I happen to get somebody.
I can think of some, but it's not typical
not
anymore.
Usual. Oh yeah. I went from talking. I had to deal with AT&T the other day. My first call was to somebody in the Philippines. Because I usually ask them, what part of the world are you in, sport? I've talked to Egypt. I've talked to Panama. Not Panama City. Panama City, Florida. Panama City, Panama. People all over the world. But the other day I got somebody in North Carolina. But that's not very usual. Why do they do that? Because it's cheaper for the multinational corporations to pay somebody the other side of the world than it is to give a job here to people in the United States. Now, that's a whole different question, but it's still taking money away and maybe jobs, Bill, away from Americans, because Americans are not going to work for that money. But other parts of the world will.
When I get on the phone and I'm talking to a multinational company of any sort, and I happen to be talking to somebody that I cannot understand because of their dialect, not because they're talking too loud or too soft or too country or too city or whatever, they're talking too Thailandese or Egyptian or Filipino or any of those other countries that I don't have a real problem with. If I can't understand them, I say, listen, let me talk to your supervisor. And then they'll give me another person and they sound the same. And I'll say, okay, let me speak to somebody that speaks English. Do you have any Americans working there? And they go, no, we're in bumfuck Egypt. Okay, well, done. Click. I hang up. I don't give a shit what the reason is. I just hang up. And I call back again, and maybe I'll get somebody that I can understand. But I will not deal with that.
Actually, the Egyptians are pretty good in English. Some of the other countries, not so much.
Hey, really quick to go back to something Bill was talking about a moment ago. It is noticeable how, say, Indians seem to be in the hotel business, and they always seem to own a Dairy Queen. I'm
Convenience store.
I'm generalizing so badly here, but there's maybe a Chinese person running a dry cleaners or something like that. Please don't hate me for saying all this. The reason they're there is there's an opportunity there. They didn't come here with the desire to take over anything. They came here looking for work, and usually people from their country have a foothold in a business like restaurants or hotels or dry cleaners or convenience stores, you name it. And so when you go to those now, that's why it looks the way it does and sounds the way it does. And yeah, a lot of those cultures don't have the same ideas about manners that we do, and aren't especially pleasant to deal with or hospitable or anything. They're like, hey, give me your money. Here's your receipt. Get out. Where's the next guy?
Oh yeah, I mean exactly, John. Exactly.
I works in other parts of the country. I was in California.
Yeah.
At a convenience store. I think I was, or some little shop somewhere, and visiting my son out there, who, by the way, I'm pleased to report that the closest fire to him now is 30 miles away, and he's in no danger at all.
That's good.
Got that message from Mason today. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and I'm standing behind, waiting to be served, and the clerk at the store was sitting there talking to somebody. And she turned around and saw me standing there. She said, how long have you been standing there? I said, just a few minutes. She said, you should have said, hey, lady, I'm standing here. And I looked at her and I said, ma'am, I'm from the South. We don't do things like that. She looked at me and she said, we need a few more of you out here. And I went, I'm thinking, yeah, but
you
sister,
said it, lady.
Ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me, because the only thing I've left here in California is my son, and I wish he'd come home. So it's different strokes for different folks. But I think we pretty much beat this horse around. What else? One thing that really has disturbed my wife and me is this blanket pardon that Mr. Trump has issued for a bunch of people, some of whom are simply hoodlums and thugs. And thinking back on what Biden did before he left office, now looks pretty reasonable.
Tame. Yeah, I mean, he just let out his own private army. Is what he's done. He has his own private army now. Because all those guys are loyal as hell to him now. Period.
Oh,
doesn't matter
yeah.
what he says or done.
Oh,
he has.
What
he has,
says or do.
How many?
What he'll do in the future.
There's 150 of them, something like that. 154, something like that. They are now.
It was 1,600 people, more or less, that were pardoned today.
Those are the leaders of the new revolution. Those are the guys that are the commanders now, because they've gone to jail for the cause, so they've proven themselves. They are now the leaders of Trump's private army. Stay tuned, folks. It's going to get interesting as shit coming up in about 3.5 years.
I think a lot of them, a significant number of them, by significant, I mean like 10, 20, 30% of them, were in trouble with the law before they went to jail for what they did on January 6th. And one of them, at least, has already released yesterday, arrested today on a weapons charge. So their numbers are going to be, plenty of them are going right back to jail. It won't take long. They'll do something stupid and end up back in jail where they belong.
Well, I think that's a good news thing right there. Yeah, we don't need a lot of bad actors on the streets. We got enough of them already. And some of them were just misdemeanor stuff. And okay, all right. But people who assaulted the police officers, you've all
Yeah.
seen the video of this poor guy. He's just screaming because he's being basically crushed and mugged. And then there was some. I guarantee
He was
that some of those
interviewed.
law officers.
He was interviewed
They
tonight
don't,
on the news. I saw, and he was, and he said they did this to me, they did that to me, and he described it. I don't remember exactly what he said, but basically he says, I can't believe this is happening. They almost killed me, and they're out free and roaming the streets again. He said, I don't even know how to respond to it.
Well, I
One
agree,
guy
Gary.
did
It
not.
is disturbing, just like you were talking about.
William,
Oh,
you
and-
still
and
alive
now
there?
Yeah, I'm just taking it all in.
We need to talk about it.
Now you understand why Biden did what he did, because he knew this was going to happen,
Yeah.
and we all knew this was going to happen. So you think if I'm Joe Biden and my son is going to go to jail, and I know that all these thugs are going to be turned loose, guess what I'm doing? And I think you would too.
I'm sure I would.
Oh,
Well-
in a heartbeat. Oh, give me that paper and that pen. I'm signing, baby. You get out. You get out of jail free, baby.
It won't be long.
Go to
before
go. Collect $200.
What were you saying, William?
I said it won't be long before Biden's back in jail. I'm afraid he's
You mean Hunter
Hunter
Biden?
Biden?
Hunter Biden.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it'll be his own doing.
I
I
hope
mean,
Well,
he's-
that's right. That's right. I think for far as I know, for the past few years, he's been sober. Now, he was doing all kinds of crazy crap when he was doing drugs and alcohol.
yeah.
What do you think on the
problem.
U.S. ban on TikTok, guys?
I thought that was
I think
suspended.
that's I think. Do I think that China's got its hands and stuff? Oh yeah. Will that make it easier? Probably. Let me tell you something that was really spooky the other day. My wife, my lovely wife Jill, was talking to one of her friends about who's had to divest herself of her home and furnishings and stuff like that. And they were trying to talk about. They were talking. There's something called 1-800-GET-JUNK. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's a service that they come to your house and they just basically take all your old crap away and just dispose of it. Within about an hour, guess what shows up in my email? That. Now, coincidence? Or
No.
is somebody listening in on stuff?
Yeah, they're listening.
That just scares the hell out of me, to tell you the truth, boys. A big brother is here. They don't need
Well,
to,
you gotta-
they don't need
you
to
gotta-
they don't need
you
to
don't-
microchip you. You got
You
one of
don't-
these cell phones, they know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Chinese are taking little bitty micro chips and putting them in teapots, tennis shoes, you name it? You go to Walmart and walk down the damn aisle, you can pick out 30 items from China. Because I've done it. I've actually walked around trying to find something that was not made in China, and I couldn't. Do you think that they don't think far enough in advance to where they will slap a little microcomputer or a microchip or something like that into a tennis shoe? And the little soft, spongy part at your heel, you don't think they can go and seal it where you won't know it?
I think it's more likely they do it in electronics, of which they have plenty.
Yeah. Which it's been proven they do that.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're
They're
not
not-
going to do it. They're not going to do it in my HVAC. Mine is a Goodman, and it's built by Americans. So all the parts come from America. I know I told everybody I got a new HVAC, which I'm real proud of. I won't be having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning making a damn fire, so won't be cold.
Hey, there you go.
But it's something that you gotta think about. I mean, think about it. A little bitty tennis shoe, you just take something and just push in it, and that foamy part of the heel, and take it, and push in a microchip. You got a little tool, and it goes in, and then you just seal it. Doop. Go look at your tennis shoes, folks. You don't know what you're missing. You don't know what's there. On to something else.
I'm pretty tough on tennis shoes, though. It wouldn't last long with me.
Okay. One of his directives was to give executive branch departments and agencies 60 days to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, including all chief diversity officer jobs, equity action plans, and environmental justice positions. I don't know. There's going to be some gay parades coming up soon. How about that?
Yeah. And well, they this is the pendulum swinging back from the woke side of things and the affirmative action side of things. And he's getting these ideas from somewhere. So some of his constituents are saying these things. I just go back to what Dr. King said. We just celebrated the Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. I think people ought to be judged not by the color of their skin or by their religion that they proffer, but by the content of their character. If the best person for the job is X, then X needs to get the job. Whether they're black, white, male, female, gay, straight, or whatever.
Yeah, thanks for reminding us of what he said, Gary. I think that's really important.
Yes.
Well, he's from Atlanta, so he's good.
People are really good at what they do. They're not good people, though. Just saying. When I coach athletes, I tell them I want them to be a great athlete. I really, really do. If it's wrestling or football or whatever it is I'm coaching, I really want you to be the best you could possibly be at that. But I'd rather you be a better person. Because unless you're crazy like me, you're only an athlete for a very short time, but you're a person all your life.
I was a better athlete.
Judged by the content of your character.
I was not a good person.
Well, but you're a better person now.
I'm a better person now, but I was not a. I had a linebacker mentality, 365, and that's how I wrestled. You were wrestling a linebacker that had attitude. What do you think about this Department of Government Efficiency under the Executive Office of the President until July 4th, 2026? This entity
the one thing I want to know is who the hell elected Elon Musk to anything?
Nobody.
I don't recall seeing him on a ballot. I didn't vote for that. He can put Trump in the advisor of whoever he wants to, but he's almost like the Cardinal Richelieu or something of the Trump administration.
Well, did you watch
behind the throne?
Did you watch the news tonight? He said that the new AI, whatever they're calling it, objective or department or I don't remember what to call it, but it was AI, and they were going to spend $500 billion on this. And Elon told the press that they didn't have the money for it.
Who is that?
There you go.
He disagreed.
If you ain't got it.
He disagreed with Trump. And he did it on national news.
Not surprising, those two couldn't ride a bicycle the same direction for more than 30 seconds.
And basically said, don't pay any attention to President Trump when it comes to this because they don't have the money. Holy shite. We're going to see some fireworks about that. How fast can he get fired?
Well,
We'll see.
one of the two people who were appointed to run the to run Doge has already left. So Vivek Ramaswamy left.
Yeah, he's running for governor, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Ramaswamy running for governor. Yeah, we'll see.
The-
There you go. So Musk
what,
is kind of in it by himself.
I think Elon probably is jealous of the Starlink. That's what they call the deal that you're talking about, Bill. Is an agreement between the government and Oracle and the Japanese investment banker. And oh yeah, Elon, they've got the money. He doesn't. I don't think Elon likes it because they're probably doing it, and he's like losing some advantage because of it. That's probably where that's coming from. But they've definitely got the money.
Well, I'm all for it. More government efficiency. That's almost an oxymoron too, isn't it?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
how'd y'all like Elon Musk salute to Trump?
I think he showed us who he really is.
You know, I mean, does that bring any? Do y'all remember that?
Oh yeah.
Y'all know where that came from? I mean, all we got to do is get Trump to grow a mustache and dye his hair.
Well, he did it and turned around and did it again just to make sure nobody was making a mistake about it.
That's it. Buckle your seatbelts, boys. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
Oh yeah. Well, the one thing that I absolutely disagree with Trump is the fact that he has withdrawn from the Paris Climate Agreement
And the World Health Organization.
and the World Health Organization. Oh my God.
Now, there's some things that need to be tweaked with who, but I'm not sure getting out of that entirely is the right answer.
I think we could have contributed a lot more and made it a better organization had we stayed in
Yeah,
it and
there needs to be
made
more
some outcomes a lot
efficiency,
better.
transparency.
No, I don't think we want people from Paris telling us what we can and can't do as far as our manufacturing processes go.
Well, it's
Well,
not
this
them
is the
telling
World
us.
Health Organization, which doesn't have a whole lot to do with manufacturing.
I was talking about the Paris climate.
Climate accords.
That's just
But
where
that,
they.
that wasn't just that wasn't just that's just where they signed it. It wasn't. It was a multinational coalition of things. I'm disturbed by a seeming disregard for climate in this administration. I don't think the answer is total electric vehicles and stuff like that because, by the time you put in the carbon footprint of manufacturing an EV plus all the batteries and stuff that it takes to run it, you've probably burned more fossil fuel than you've saved.
Yeah.
So there's still some bugs to be worked out there. I think the hybrid thing is probably the way to go with that because you can charge a battery by using every now and then using some fossil fuel and you can save things in the long run. But this whole thing about drill, baby, drill and all that, do I think we need to be energy independent? Absolutely. But
Well, according to the AP,
I think we need to be exploring all options.
according to the AP, he will repeal multiple Biden orders and memoranda. Regarding climate change, including guidelines for implementing climate-related provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. an effort to assess financial risk of not combating climate change and establishing of a President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. We're just now turning it over with Biden. He finally did something to help our climate. And everything that says climate in it, he just going through it and doing like, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone, gone. If it says climate and it says Biden, that's gone, that's gone. It's just arbitrarily
Oh yeah.
doing the opposite.
See,
I don't understand that.
I don't understand. I don't understand why, if the other guy suggested, it's automatically a bad idea.
Yeah.
Although we said the same thing about 5 years ago, and it was a good idea then because we said it. See, that whole business is just bad. Are we making America great again, or are we making Trump great again?
Yeah, well, like I said,
Good question.
3.5 years from now, it's going to get interesting. It's going to be interesting for the next 3.5 years, but when it comes time for him to go away, that's when his army will come out, and it's got 3.5 years to grow. He's sealing our borders. He's throwing out people that he doesn't think that are Americans. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he doesn't do that. But from what it shows to me, wait a minute. Today's the 22nd. The inauguration was when?
20th.
The 20th?
Monday.
Yeah.
He's got 1 day to end the war in Ukraine. Y'all remember that? 3 days. 3 days. 3 days when I get elected, that war will be over. Even before I take office, it'll be over. Well, guess what? He's got 1 day. All right, Trump. Let's see it. This is a call out to President Trump. Let's see you end that damn war in 1 day. And
Well,
another
at least
thing, he's going back on.
Happening in the Mid-East.
Oh yeah, that was all Biden. Although he tried to take credit for it. The thing is that even with the Chinese, he was talking about putting a 60% tariff on the Chinese. He's kind of backing out of that too. So we'll see. Believe me, I have everything he said that he's going to do on a document, and we will review those on a regular basis.
Well, we seem to have elected him and inaugurated him, and now we're, as I said before, we're going to be in the find out portion of the program. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, this was
good for America.
This is a big one. Require that the U.S. government recognize 2 genders only, male and female, on passports, visas, global entry cards, and all other forms and documents, and in all programs and communications. Once again, that's going to get interesting.
Well, I'm not saying we discriminate against anybody, but, let's face it. You are what you are. You can insist you're something else, and I'm not going to discriminate against you. I'm not going to hate you.
But your government will. Starting to sound like one of those science fiction movies. If you're a white,
I'm just waiting for
white American,
waiting for the AI to take over.
You're okay. You're okay, but if you're not, you're in trouble.
Male or female.
And it's like I've told. I had a guy come over to the house, a salesman the other day came over to the house, and he was Latino. And I told him, I said, dude, I don't want to get in your business or anything, but you need to make sure you got your papers on you wherever you go, your license, whatever. Just make sure you're always covered. Don't leave the house without it. It's going to get bad. He said, I know. He believe me, I know. Do what, William?
I don't think it's going to get that bad.
it'll get it bad for about 100,000 Latinos that don't have paperwork. He's going to send them all home, is what he said.
100,000. That's Hall County.
Well, a couple of years ago, Hall County, that sheriff said he's going to do the same thing, and he reduced the population of Hall County by about 20%. He actually did it. Catching, put them on a bus and send them to Mexico. Catch them, put them on a bus and send them to Mexico. He did that. And the population of that county dropped by 25%. That's a fact. So it can be done, and it probably will be done. So if any of the Latinos are happen to be watching this, you guys need to keep your papers on you at all times.
One thing about the executive orders that are being signed is that some of them are going to be met with lawsuits. Yeah. And so I think it's going to take some of the impact out of the signing. Some of them, frankly, are just for political show. And
yeah, I agree, John.
So, like the birthright thing, that's in the Constitution. You need another amendment to get rid of things like that, and that's just not going to happen. A lot of it's for show. A lot of it is hyperbole. Trump is a master of chaos and hyperbole. It's not just good; it's great, and it's not just great. It's the greatest it's ever been. The greatest it's ever been. And he'll repeat that 2 or 3 times just to make sure you got it, right? So he shoots really, really high for some things, hoping maybe that he's going to get some of that, some of these outrageous things. You know, I think Florida's already starting to call it the Gulf of America. Change the name if you want to. It's not going to affect anything. It's like when we changed the name of all these sports teams to something else. Did that really change anything? No, except for the name of the sports team. Did it make everybody feel much more included and solve the problems that we have in harmony across this country? Now that they're the Washington Commanders? Oh, wow. Yes, that certainly made everybody feel better about everything, didn't it? The same thing as this is about the Gulf of America versus Gulf of Mexico, or whether it's McKinley and Denali.
Posts have been changed.
Yeah. Did that affect anybody? Anything? Really? The bottom line, really?
Yeah, but we allowed them to do that stuff. That was the whole point, not allowing them to change it.
For anybody that happened to tune in and saw the promo on Facebook or YouTube or wherever else, that due to technical difficulties, I was unable to show the tomato basil recipe. It has been put on our website at intelligentramblings.com. Just go to intelligentramblings.com and look at intelligent food. That's what you need to click on. And there's 2 recipes there now: the chicken noodle soup that I made, and a tomato basil sauce, which is the beginning of chicken Parmesan, which I'm going to have in a later time, probably next week, unless we have more weird shit happen on our platform.
Well, all right.
Sounds good.
Thought I'd just throw that in there.
Sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you think that's good, you should try my chili. I made chili tonight, and it's just like really good.
Well, now you're making me hungry. Now we got a problem.
We roasted a pork tenderloin, and Fran fixed asparagus and potatoes to go with it. Wow, it was good.
Oh, just hush. Just hush.
It was so tender. It was perfectly cooked.
Oh, man.
That's I would say that's rude, John, but I ate a big old bowl of chili before I came down for the show.
Nice.
Anybody else got anything else to talk about? I think we've gone to our end on our special "What the hell's Trump done in the first 3 days" update. we promise we'll be back with you next week, and we promise we'll be on time next week, and everything else that we need to promise.
Yeah, thanks for being here. If you joined us over the last hour, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
appreciate
we're
it.
sorry we're late, but that's the
That's
pretty
show
much-
business.
That's show business.
Yep. Stuff happens.
That's on a regular basis. All right, guys.
All right, man.
Y'all
Thank
have a
you
great
for
week.
tuning in. Oh, you too.
Hey,
Well-
after we conclude, Gary, can you stay on for just one more minute to communicate about getting you a laptop?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I don't even know what I'm laughing about. Well,
All right.
it didn't end
We're
yet.
still alive.
Yeah, we're still
Yep.
live.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna make me
All
play
right.
the outro. Oh well.